Welcome to another Mule session. In this session, I like to talk about a very interesting topic called Object Store. In my experience, I often feel people have so many confusion about this concept. If I talk to my colleagues or if I interview any candidate, I saw there is some kind of confusion about the object stores. So to clear all the stuff, this session is very important to you. By the way, my name is Srinu. I'm working as a technical architect and I'm passionate about teaching. So I will teach about Mule fundamentals, Mule architecture concepts, and Mule development concepts. So you can reach out me for training. Now, coming to this session, so we are talking about the object store. We talk about the main idea of the object store. What's the way object store is used, and what are different operations in the object store, what are different types of object store, and what are limitations of the object store, where we need to use the object store, in which cases, in which requirements we use the object store, and finally best practices. According to you know what you need to do is you need to take a note of this session, and while taking notes, first you focus on the object store primary functionality. Then what are different questions you may encounter in interviews, or while going through the session you will get some interviews, some questions, right? So note down the questions and I will give some questions also. Please walk through these questions. And this session is prepared by doing some references. I can share the references. Please you to go through those reference documentation, means of documentation, and finally action items. So after completing this session you need to practice the concepts, right? So I've given some action items. I can share the GitHub URL also for this code base. You can download and you can practice the concepts. Then this session is completed. This the functionality, you can say, completed. Afterwards, you all the confusion about object store is resolved, and you can perform better in interviews and your solution providing also. Now start with this object store. Most of you have the idea about object store, right? Object store is used to store some data in a form of key value pairs, right? So that is clear for me, clear to everybody. So I don't want to go much deeper on that. Object store, Mule Object Store is service provided by MuleSoft to store and retrieve key value pairs in a Mule application. So this object store will be available across the flows in application and across the applications also, but it's not recommendable. But we can use the object store as a communication between applications also, but the object store intention is not that, right? And coming to various types of operations available in the object store. So in the object store we can store the data in form of key value pairs, and whenever we want to retrieve the data, and we can retrieve all the data, and we remove one pair of data, one key values pair, and we can check is this key value pair present in the object store or not using contains operation. And it can clear object store, we can remove all the entries of object store using the clear operation. And basically these are primary operations. One or two operations may add, like retrieve all. So these are the primary operations of the object store. So we can go through demo, don't worry. I can show you in any point studio application few of these operations. You can practice the rest. Now coming to most important part of the object store is the types of object store. Most people confuse over here. They thought that object store is only one kind of object store. No, there are basically three types of object store will be there. Let me come down by a bit. Let me one sec. Okay, the three types of object store is there. One is a Mule object store and any point object store v2, any point cloud object store v1, object store v1, v2, and the Mule object store. The easy way you can remember this object store categories is, nowadays we are not using object store v1, V1 used by the Mule version 3 applications. Mule 4 version doesn't support the object store V1. So you can right away, it is deprecated. We should not focus on that. If you have any question interview also, that is used by the Mule 3 applications. We are now all, most of applications are moved to Mule 4. You are working in the Mule 4. Mule 4 doesn't support the object store V1, so we can omit that one. Now there are two object store you need to focus. One is the object store V2 and the Mule object store. Okay. So if you are developing a MuleSoft application, in the component palette, you can see the object store container, sorry, object store connector component. So that connector component you can use to communicate with the object store. Now you may get doubt. Using that connector, am I connecting to Mule object store or any point object store V2? Right? Using the same connector is used to connect both these object store. Using that connector, you can connect to Mule object store or any point object store V2. But Mule object store is for on-prem applications. Any point object store V2 is the cloud based. That's the main primary difference. If you are deploying the application on the on-prem, we are using the Mule object store. If you are deploying the application in cloud, there is some checkbox when you are deploying application. Use object store V2, I can show you. If you check that and if you deploy the application, it uses object store V2. While developing the application, use the same connector, but depends upon the deployment, where you are deploying the application. Based on that, you will communicate to corresponding object store. Now you have to focus on what is the difference between the Mule object store and object store V2. Right? Mule object store originally on-prem based object store as part of runtime, and we can memory management, persistent or in memory. This is also same for the object store V2 also we can use, but when this you need to we need to analyze how the cloud any point object store manage the memory. Now we just first we focus on the Mule object store. Mule object store we can have the in memory or persistent. If you configure as in memory, it stores on the system RAM, right? And if you chooses to if you configure the object store as a persistent, it uses some backend store like a file system. And we can entirely customizable. We can see we can configure the object store as I need to have only 5 entries in this object store or 10 entries. You can configure maximum entries and the how many the time to live, how much time the entry can live in the object store. All the stuff you can configure it, right? And there is no limit of maximum sizes of store. We can store a number of entries in the object store. But if you store more entries, what happen? All the heap is consumed by your object store. Your application may down. So it is not recommendable to load your object store with a number of objects. If you have, in that case, you need to do some kind of configuration to evict the objects periodically. That is the best practice that we can discuss as the best practice. Now, Mule object store, what the points to remember, it is for the on-prem applications, and we can configure this object store as a in memory or a persistent. If it is in memory, it stores the value stores in the memory, your system memory, and once if system restart, you may lose all these entries. If you want to you want your entries to be available after restart also, then in that case you need to configure as a persistent. If you configure persistent, the entries are available after restart also, because they are storing in some backend store like file system. You will not configure any file is internally stores into file system. You will not bother about that one, how it's going to store in case of persistent. and it's customizable. We can change, customize how many entries you want, or how many time the object want to live, or the customer. This is the primary points you need to remember as part of the Mule object store. And coming to any point object store v2, this is the most important part. This is actually a service provided by the Cloud Hub, a separate service. It's not as part of a Mule application or Mule worker. It's Mule Cloud Hub service. Okay. This is only used by the Cloud Hub deployed applications. We can't use the Anypoint Object Store v2 for on-prem deployed applications. It is only for Cloud Hub deployed applications. In case you want to an application deployed in the on-prem want to use the Anypoint Object Store v2, there is a REST API available. Using that, your on-prem application can interact with the Cloud Object Store v2 using the REST connector, not an Object Store connector. That's fine. So primarily it is for Cloud based applications. Yeah, that's what max entries is not supported in this. Even if you configure the max number of entries, that is not supported in the Object Store v2. Okay. So there is some references given over here where this Object Store v2 stays. It's not inside your worker, a separate service running with along your worker. Okay. So therefore, any two Cloud applications also able to communicate through this Object Store v2. And don't worry, Object Store v1, it is deprecated, right? And what are the different limitations of Object Store v2 or Object Store? Okay. So Object Store is not recommended when there are so many concurrent accesses. So 2 or 3 applications are going to Object Store and updating the keys. If your use case is like that, Object Store is not recommendable. You need to see the different option. Okay. And Object Store also can't support a transaction. Right? If entire things, agile properties, right? If the entire functionalities happen in one shot, or it should not happen. In case of transaction scenarios, Object Store is not recommendable. And what are the different use cases we use the Object Store? We store the watermarks. What are the watermarks? So for simple example is when you are using the there is an employee application and you want to retrieve the recent records. Always everyday employees and new employees are joining your company, and you want to retrieve today's the employees joined today, and tomorrow you want to retrieve only the employees joined tomorrow. You don't want all the employees. In that case, what we do is we put some watermark kind of thing on the record, like employee joined date is kind of watermark, right? So today I update watermark as today's date. Tomorrow I will update the watermark as tomorrow's date. Then day after tomorrow I want to retrieve, I will retrieve the records after the watermark records. Only every time I will retrieve the records after the watermark, so that I will get the recent records. So to fetch the recent records, we set the watermark. There is a demo I will show you on that. Okay. To store watermarks, we use the Object Store. And to store the access tokens, temporary information access tokens, if you have the OAuth based applications, every time we need to go and get the token, that's an unnecessary service call. In that case, what we do is the token may live for 15 minutes. So in that 15 minutes, when new request comes, we can store the token inside the Object Store. We can use that Object Store. So to store the access tokens and to store the watermarks, there are primary usage and the caching also. So caching component on the behind scenes we can use the Object Store, right? So these are primary use cases for the Object Store. Like I said, the best practice is if you don't your entire Object Store uses, there is not a limitation in the number of entries. Any number of entries we can store in Object Store. If you don't configure it properly, it may consume an entire JVM heap memory. So to avoid that, we need to configure properly with giving some limitations so that entries will be limited in the object store. And the questions, and we come to questions later. What are different questions? And references, we can see reference documents and action items. These are the we need to do as part of exercise, right? Now coming to a small demo in the object store. So I have created a simple application like play with object store. Let me show you the object store here. It's a component palette. If you click on the object, type an object, you will get the object store related components. In case if you are not able to find the object store related components, you can go to exchange, search in exchange, and you can get from the exchange. Okay, so if you remove that, there is a search in exchange. Go to exchange and you can download the object store component to your Anypoint Studio so that they're available. And what I'm doing is I'm hitting the I'm just storing some city code and city name into object store. The store value store used to store the object store. I drag the store operation used to store the content in this object store. So key is city code and value is a city name, right? This is a configuration object store. You need to give the key value. And here see initially it's like this, then nothing will be there. Then I'm configuring the object store. How I configure, see, if you click on here and give the name, and I want to only 3 entries, or if you use the 0, if you don't give, it will take a number of entries. Okay, right? um, this can you can give the expiration interval and maximum TTL. Maximum TTL means how many entries you allow. 0 means it will allow a number of sorry, maximum TTL is how much time you want allow the entry to live in object store. If I give the positive one, right, like 1 second only, after 1 second the object store, the entry will be there, but it's absolute. Then what happens is every 30 seconds, if I configure like this, the expiration interval, I will use some small like this. So I configure this as a 50 seconds. Time to live is 50 seconds, right? And expiration interval is 30 seconds. What happens is every 30 seconds a thread will run and it will check is the entry in the object store expired or not. If expired, it will remove that entry from the object store. Okay, every 30 seconds it will run. It will check the each entry in the object store is expired or not. If expired, it remove that entry from the object store. Okay, I put the TTL time to live as 50 seconds. So what happens is after 50 seconds, the entry will get expired, but it will there in the object store. It's not immediately, it won't go out of object store. It will there in the object store, but the flag is marked as expired. Okay, once this thread run, every 30 seconds this thread will run, then it will take out the object from the object store. Then entry is not available in the object store. That way you need to understand what is entry TTL and what is the expiration entry. Okay, then this is done. Okay, now we are storing this city code and city value, and another flow I designed to retrieve the object store. I want to retrieve all the entries. Retrieves all the entries, whereas retrieve, it will retrieve a specific entry. Okay, I'm just running this flow. I'm just running this flow. Save. So my application got deployed, and let me add the entries to the object store. So there is some small this is the cloud up version. Let me 1 second, let me put Yeah. So I'm sending this one indoor ind city code. And indoor is the city name. Okay. So one thing, OS test. Yeah, I'm sorry, I changed the port number actually. It's not an 8081, it is an 8096. I'm just posting over here. Indoor got saved. I'm storing one more entry. Okay. Now I stored two entries in the object store. And now I want to retrieve the entries. So for retrieve, and using this endpoint is also 96 retrieve. I got two, Hyderabad and Indore, right? So this is very simple store and retrieve operations from the object store. Even you can practice very easily. Now after retrieving, just I'm transforming to JSON and just printing that JSON, right? So if you see this object store configuration, right? So it is not persistent, it's a transient object store. So transient object store is quite faster. When you want your performance is the primary criteria, you need to configure as it transient. And if you check the persistent, then these entries will be available after restart, right? If I restart the application, these entries would not be available. If you want these entries to be available after restart also, you need to configure the persistent. All right. So rest of object store operations are quite simple. You can practice by your own. And next, what I want to share you is the how you are storing the watermarks, right? Just I can show you very simple application. Oh, one second. This is application only. And now the assignment is deploy this application to the cloud hub. Okay, deploy to the application cloud hub. Yesterday I deployed. Let me show you the application. One sec, check. This is the application deployed. So while deploying, there is a check mark over here, use object store v2. So what happens is the same object store, when it is in the on-prem, it work as a mule object store. So while deploying the same object store, when we deploy to cloud hub, it will become the cloud of the object store v2. Okay, so now you can see object store over here, and you can see the object store related city object store. My object store name is, and we can see the yesterday I stored all this kind of this Dwarka, Indore, different type cities of the India over here. Okay, and even you could delete the keys from here from this console also. We can't see the values that is encrypted, we can't, but we can see the keys over here in this thing, right? The fundamental is the object store, the application, when we deploy it to the cloud, it will become the object store v2. When we deploy the object store to the on-prem, it become the v1. This object store also we can see it. Let me see that some path is available to your mule home. So this is my mule home path, and we can see, and we can go see the path, object store path over here. Okay, Now we will see, one sec. Toggle comment. Okay, so here let me save it and let me build it properly, clean it so that we can resolve the errors. All right, so now the criteria is I have a database table like employee table. Let me show you the employee table. This is my employee table, and what I want to do is every day the employees will join to your organization, and there is something like create date. Okay, when you create an employee, the created will posted will be inserted the day the employees joined, right? So that's created date. Now I want the latest employees today. If I'm searching, I want the employees joined today only, means greater than yesterday's date, right? That's the query we need to do. So for that, what I'm doing is first I'm retrieving I'm storing all the recent date in the object store, right? Initially I'm trying to retrieve the the latest date, but what happens is in the object store nothing will be there, right? I will get a kind of empty string, right? First time I will get an empty string. So empty string from the object store, I'm getting empty string with nothing there in the object store. Now what I'm doing is if it is empty, it will go to default branch. So in the default branch, what I'm doing, I'm searching, I'm selecting um, I'm querying the database. I'm getting the max of created date. Okay, in the database, what is the max of created date, right? And that one I'm storing inside you as a latest yes. Entry name is latest yes. The key is latest timestamp, and I'm storing that one, the max date whatever I got from the this query, right? I'm storing. I'm just transforming to some JSON, and I'm storing that string into your this latest one. Then second time when you hit this thing, right, that is available, so this one you will get, right? Then second time what to do, I go to database, and now this time as I have the latest timestamp, I will retrieve the records where the created date is greater than the yesterday's date, this yesterday's date, right? Now we'll get only those records. After that, what I'm doing is, if I get any record, I'm again updating the timestamp to the today's date, right? So let me run these things, you can get a good idea. What I'm doing is I'm just this what is this endpoint? This the endpoint is latest. Okay, I'm trying to get the latest. Something is there, latest. So this is all 96 latest. It's deployed. Let me check once. I just debugged this flow. I'm starting this flow. So see, the max days. Okay, let me run this flow again. So I put a breakpoint over here, and it's running now. So latest TS is already there. Therefore, it is what is latest TS. This is one payload. This is the one. Okay. And go to the database. I want to get the records. If you see the query, right, I want to get the records greater than the payload. The payload, what's the payload? The CS is point to payload, right? What's the payload? What is the payload over here? Okay, it's by this time payload is gone. Let me run again 1 sec. I will show in the next iteration. So this is not is empty collection, nothing is there. So what result I got is no record in the system, no latest record in the system, means no record got inserted since yesterday. To add that, I will adding one record to the system using one of the post call. So I'm just adding a system like Rajesh Khanna, some record. Okay, so the record got added successfully, right? Now if I try to retrieve, right, if I try to retrieve the try to get the latest record, right, the 1896 latest. Now observe here, right? So what is the payload? 13th. Actually this is the last payload. Okay, so I mean this is the, after that no record got inserted, but just now we insert a record, right? This is the last timestamp. Now I'm getting the records after this timestamp. Then if you see, I think I got the payload, one record I got. Okay, this Rajesh Khanna, whatever you had, right, that got, right, the record got. And to the next, now this is not empty collection, so that I'm just updating the record, updating the this one timestamp, right? You see I got that record, Rajesh Khanna record, right? If I hit again, what happens is the timestamp got updated. Now from the database I will get the empty record, 0 size record, because after the timestamp we are not increase or add any record, right? Now the collection is empty, it is errored out, and I'm catching that. I'm just putting that, no latest records in order to continue, so that we will get this message. So for this kind of things we can use the object stores, but there is inbuilt functionality is also there. Here we can configure the watermark columns. So this may internally using the object stores. Okay, all right. So this is about the small use case, and what you can do is now go ahead and develop these things. Go to deploy the same application in the on-prem and the cloud hub and use the differences. And there is a good link is going to practice this one, MuleSoft lab, practice that one, and like when you create an object store in it for database and go to this reference documentation. Hope this session is useful to you. If this is useful, please like and comment to me. Thank you so much.